He was literally escorted off a luxurious cruise liner like some kind of criminal, all because of his bright red MAGA cap. The crowd watched in shock, never guessing they were witnessing the owner of the entire fleet. When the truth finally came out, the captain nearly lost his career, and everyone realized the catastrophic fallout of judging a man by his hat. It all started with one brief but fateful encounter at the check-in desk. It was a sunny, cloudless day. The massive cruise liner, Horizont, gently bobbed at the pier, preparing to set off into open waters. Excited tourists were making their way up the gangway, trading jokes and smiles as they eagerly anticipated a luxurious vacation. Among the passengers, one man stood out in a bright red cap emblazoned with MAGA, a bold contrast to the formal suits and summer dresses around him. Our hero, a staunch Republican by conviction and an avid cruise enthusiast, was waiting in a short line to check in, while other travelers snapped cheerful photos against the ship's backdrop. The first mate eyed him warily, as though sensing something out of place. But for the time being, he decided not to interfere. After all, the man had purchased a ticket just like everyone else. As soon as the hero approached the reception desk, the young female attendant noticed his cap and immediately frowned. Trying to remain courteous, she handed him his ticket and muttered through clenched teeth, "Please, step on through, but maybe you could remove the cap? You're drawing a little too much attention." He smiled and replied, "Oh, don't worry. I always wear it. It's my personal good luck charm against boring conversations." The receptionist shot him a sideways glance. He calmly made his way to the elevator that would take him to his VIP cabin. The staff's eyes already showed a mixture of curiosity and outright disdain for the MAGA symbolism. Nonetheless, our hero stayed composed and unflappable, as though he had navigated moments like this countless times before. The luxurious interiors of the Horizont were nothing short of dazzling. Marble floors everywhere, expensive paintings on the walls, and in the center of the main hall, a massive crystal chandelier reflecting the shimmer of the sea. Passengers, full of excitement, wandered the decks, browsed the boutique displays, and snapped selfies by the panoramic windows. Meanwhile, a storm of discontent was already brewing around our hero. He'd managed to snag a glass of lemonade and was leisurely strolling along the deck, taking in the view. But that's when a group of particularly progressive tourists, irritably chatting about politics, spotted him. One of them, wearing a t-shirt proclaiming "Make peace, not walls," shouted, "Hey, you planning on holding a rally right here on the deck? Just so you know, we came here to relax, not to argue about politics." Our hero just smirked. "I can assure you I'm not planning any rallies, unless it's a rally for better service," he quipped with a sarcastic wink. But the tourist kept fanning the flames. "Keep your views to yourself, Red Cap." The crowd began recording the scene on their phones, as often happens when people sense prime social media fodder. At that moment, the ship's captain appeared from around the corner, a tall man in a pristine white uniform who looked like he'd stepped straight off a glossy travel brochure. Hearing the raised voices, the captain stepped forward decisively. "What's going on here? I won't tolerate any disturbances on board." The "Make peace, not walls" tourist pointed an accusing finger at our hero. "He's provoking everyone with that hat of his." The captain, taking on the air of a universal judge, shot a stern look at the MAGA cap and announced, "There will be no political campaigning on my liner. I can have you removed from this ship if you refuse to take off the hat and follow proper decorum." "Proper decorum," our hero repeated mockingly. "Have I broken a single rule?" The captain stared him down with a contemptuous glare. "Either remove the hat, or we'll find you a spot on the nearest tender so you can head back to shore." The crowd stirred, whispering in excitement. Someone even started a live stream, sensing this could turn into a major scandal. Growing irritated that the man in the red cap refused to remove it, the captain ordered security to escort this so-called troublemaker to the gangway. Right before the curious crowd's eyes, two burly sailors, exchanging uneasy glances yet obeying orders, took hold of our hero by the arms and began leading him toward the exit. He offered no resistance, speaking only in a calm, measured voice. "Are you sure you want to kick me out in this way?" The sailors shrugged. They had their orders and were following them. The captain trailed behind, casting occasional looks at the onlookers, trying to project confidence. Meanwhile, the spectators were already buzzing about what was happening. "It's just a cap, isn't it?" some whispered. "Well, the captain's got a point. We don't want any conflict on our cruise," others countered. Right as they neared the edge of the deck, the hero suddenly spoke up. "Fine, I'll leave the ship. But first, please contact the owner of Triumph Cruise Lines, the company that owns this liner." The captain gave a sarcastic snort. "And what, you think the owner's going to drop everything and fly out here to defend you and your hat? Be my guest. There's the gangway, and the port staff are waiting below. Farewell." "Of course the owner won't fly out," the hero said, pausing meaningfully before adding, "because he's already here." A mocking eyebrow shot up on the captain's face, but as the meaning of the hero's words sank in, the captain's expression shifted from smug superiority to shocked disbelief. "What are you talking about?" The hero showed him a gold card and official documents confirming his identity. He was, in fact, the owner of the entire cruise line. The sailors, seeing the company logo and the requisite signatures, recoiled in alarm. At that moment, the captain went paler than a sailor caught in his first hurricane at sea. The crowd gasped and every phone camera was rolling. Someone shouted that this was going to blow up on social media. For several minutes, a tense silence hung in the air, broken only by the sound of the waves. The captain stood there, not knowing where to look, while security seemed equally at a loss. After all, they'd just kicked out their own boss. Seeing the panic in their eyes, our hero let the moment linger before speaking up. "I could fire you on the spot, but you know what? I appreciate professionalism, and I realize you were just following orders. As for you, Captain..." He turned his gaze on him with a slight smirk. "I hope your own actions here won't be the reason for an early retirement." The captain, his face flushed with shame, had no idea how to defend himself. Applause rose from behind him. The very passengers who, just a minute ago, had silently watched a MAGA cap wearer being humiliated were now cheering enthusiastically for the cruise line owner. Videos of the incident were already spreading like wildfire across the internet, racking up thousands of comments on how people judge by the hat without knowing who's wearing it. "Sorry," the captain finally stammered. "I made a terrible mistake." "It's all right," the hero replied with a conciliatory smile. "You're not the first, nor will you be the last, to judge someone by the top of their cap. A ripple of laughter broke the tension. As the hero began to leave, he turned back to the stunned captain and added, "Next time you spot a passenger in a red cap, remember, maybe your biggest investor is on board. Or a congressman, a senator, anyone really. Instead of needing to know in advance, it's best to treat everyone with respect, wouldn't you say?" The captain could only nod, trying to steady his trembling knees. The passengers, still buzzing from the dramatic show, greeted the hero with applause. Some were even lining up for selfies and autographs. "This is definitely going to be the most unforgettable cruise of my life," he thought, as the crowd cheered his name and watched him make his way back to his luxurious suite. Meanwhile, the Horizont slowly pulled away from the port into the glittering expanse of open water, carrying with it a newly spun legend of the cruise line owner who was nearly thrown overboard simply for wearing a bright red MAGA cap.